Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to another segment of the MCR. This is our first segment since we've had the presidential election, and we thought we'd just kind of review some points and share our thoughts and some observations of what's happened. Today is Thursday, so as far as what's happened in the last 48 hours since the election, and I don't remember how much we said it on our segments. But I know I said it to you in personal conversation. I wanted Trump to run again in 2024, and this was pretty early on in 2021. I mean, I was adamant about him doing it again because I wanted a reckoning, a reckoning. I was that certain of electoral anomalies, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, and in regards to the electoral anomalies, you start reading it, you see these news reports about how there's a 15 million vote drop from the 2020 election in the Democrat popular vote from the 2020 election to 2024. It's almost like 15 million votes, just as if they don't even exist. And as I pull out my handheld here, we have a bar graph here, and in 2012. It shows the Democrats taking the popular vote at around a little over maybe 65 million. And then in 2016, Trump wins the Electoral College, but the Democrats get the popular vote. And again, they're at a little over 65 million, and we're a little under 65 million. And then in 2020, for some unexplained reason, the Democrat popular vote is a whopping 80 million. And I think it actually, I think they said 81 million might have been the
Right.
figure they gave.
Well,
And
you see on social media all the time, virtually no one believes that Joe Biden got 81 million votes, mostly because Barack Obama never came close to that number. And
yeah,
he was a popular president in
uh,
elections.
in that same election, the Republicans were at about 75 million votes. Okay, and they given the bar graph, it's an approximate figure here. Okay, now this year, 2024. As the saying goes, the figures come back down to earth, and the Democrat popular vote drops down to around 65 million. Now, in all fairness, I'm going to mention here that according to this bar graph, it looks like we also dropped perhaps 3 to 5 million. It's difficult to give an exact figure here, but the Republicans also seem to have dropped a little bit in popular vote since uh, 2020, and which gets me wondering just how the heck were they counting these votes? You know?
Well, there could be a whole bunch of explanations for this. People sat home, although Michigan claims they had one of the biggest turnouts, a historic turnout here in Michigan. So that certainly wouldn't be the case here. I know Pennsylvania, they registered 600,000 more Republicans than the Democrats registered. So, and a lot of these people, and I understand they targeted people who were conservative, but people who didn't participate. And we talked about these people who just sit out the elections, and they got those people registered, and it appears they voted.
Well, and I know that this bar graph does not conclusively prove our theory of electoral anomalies, but you know what? I believe it does satisfy the definition of circumstantial evidence. You know?
Well, it's certainly suspicious, but like I said, there are other plausible explanations, such as people. First of all, she was a terrible candidate.
Yes.
Uh, People, I think Trump got 25% of the black male vote. And I think there was a large segment that just stayed home. They didn't bother voting because they didn't want to vote for Trump because he's a Republican. The Republicans are for the rich and the Democrats are for the working man. But they knew she was an empty suit and a phony. She pretends to be black. She pretends this. She pretends that. She copied Trump's some of his economic plans. Now all of a sudden she's a fiscal conservative and so on and so forth. She lied about working at McDonald's. These little things add up. And people start to say, you know what, I can't vote for her. I don't even care. Just let him be president then.
Well, at the time of this recording, they did eventually finally call Arizona and Nevada just today. Uh,
Right.
and in mentioning that, and this is beautiful. Aside from the fact that Trump took the popular vote also, and we'll get to why for me that's such a big deal. But aside from a devastating electoral college victory, Trump took all the swing states.
It's all seven,
And
right?
yeah, and even in the states he didn't take, there's a Republican gain from the 2020 election. I'm not so sure about California, but it was noticed in Chicago and I want to say Illinois, where they looked at those states, and even though the Democrats took those states, the Republicans had gains in those states
I
also.
know I know that happened in New York and New Jersey for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, and part of the reason why I'm making a deal out of the popular vote. And to the purists out there, yes, I know we have a republic. Yes, I know it's the electoral college and the whole concept of we're a republic, not a mob rule democracy. I understand this, but when you consider how the Democrats are going to be throwing the kitchen sink at us come next year, uh, to put it kind of in a layman's speak, I'd rather have the wind at my back when I'm fighting off these attacks of they're going to come from the Democrats.
Well, they've tried to say in the past, well, he wasn't a legitimate president because he didn't win the popular vote, which is the popular vote is irrelevant. But that's what they would hang their hat on, and they would convince the ignorant of this because they don't understand how our system works or why it works the way it works. But they think that we are a democracy, which we are not. I don't care how many news stations put on their background democracy 24. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutionally limited republic, and we have different rules other than the
Yep.
majority wins.
The last time a Republican did take the popular vote, we go back to 2004, George Bush's reelection. Now, if you recall, in 2000, Bush did not achieve a popular majority in that 2000 election. But what the 2000 election is most known for is the hanging Chad, where and to the Miami-Dade County, it was under 1,000 votes. And I'm going to grab my piece of paper with my notes on it, and I will never forget the video of people counting votes, trying to knock those hanging Chads loose.
And when
You
that
know?
didn't work, they tried to say, well, because what happened was they bust in a bunch of people who didn't know how to vote. So they were voting for 5 people for president, and, because there's a bunch of people who run for president, not just the 2 major parties. And they were voting for 5 people. But they voted for Democrats over here and Democrats over there. So they must have intended to vote for Al Gore, the Democrat.
And ultimately, one of the final straws was, the Democrats were demanding a recount of only Miami-Dade, and the Republicans said, "Okay, we're going to recount the whole state." And normally, statistically, recounts do tend to favor the initial winner, and I think that
Right.
the Democrats were worried that if they recounted the entire state, well, the Republicans will find more votes too to their advantage.
Right.
So it really,
You said
for,
less than 1,000. I remember the number being 537. That's
well,
how.
I was going to say around 500, but I wasn't
Yeah,
sure of
it
the
was
exact number.
537. Yeah,
I wasn't sure of the exact number, but I knew it was definitely under 1,000. So
stuck in
thank
my
you for
head for
that
some reason.
accuracy. One little side note as we take a walk down history lane, Trump is the second person to have he'll serve a non-consecutive second term. And the first president was Grover Cleveland. And that goes back to 1885. Grover Cleveland served his first term, 1885 to 1889, lost his reelection. And I hear it was because of the state of New York, too, if my research was correct.
Okay.
State of New York, how about that? Okay. So Grover Cleveland lost his reelection, and then in 1993 he won 1892 and served 1893 to 1897 his second term. So Trump will be the second person to have served two non-consecutive presidential terms.
Well, it's kind of an effect of what, people thought during those 4 years in between. They thought, what the hell were we thinking?
Yeah, really,
and went back to what worked.
And I heard a commentator just on the radio driving home from work today, of all things. He says, you know what? If they hadn't have done their hanky panky back in 2020, he goes, Trump would be leaving office now, and they'd be done with the guy. But oh no, they had to jerk around and be idiots. And guess what?
But we wouldn't be, because he's not going to leave office, and he's going to shut down the media, and he's going to you and I would probably own at least 10 black people.
Well,
because we're going to put them back in chains.
Oh yeah. Well, and the guy was saying, well, guess what? Now you got him for 4 more years. How do you like that?
Well, I don't think they're planning on having him for 4 more years. I think they're planning on killing him. And Jamie Raskin's trying to disqualify him from being elected, because there's one major flaw in Congressman Raskin's whole argument.
That's the 14th Amendment now.
Yeah,
you're talking about the 14th Amendment.
It was, and that's to say that insurrectionists can't be elected to office. The problem is that there was no insurrection. It's like a murder with no dead body.
Yeah, really. And he wasn't convicted of it either.
He wasn't convicted of it, wasn't charged with it, and most importantly, there was no insurrection. In the history of mankind, name one insurrection where there were no weapons.
Well,
no firearms used.
You bring up the reason why I really wanted us to have the popular vote, because it just lends credence to the working man has given the establishment double barrel and said get over it,
Right.
One final thing for me, and I don't know whatever else you might have there, Mac, but Nevada. As far as Trump took Nevada, unfortunately, it doesn't look like the Republicans going to win the Nevada Senate race. And for the life of me, I can never figure whoever's living there and doing these votes. I can't figure it out. I need a psychologist or someone to explain this to me, but it looks like the Democrats are going to win the Senate race while Trump, takes the state. But the reason why Nevada was so important to me was I really wanted to see that Harry Reid political machine destroyed,
Right.
And maybe we're part of the way there now with Trump taking the state, and Harry Reid, and I know we all love to hate Mitt Romney, but it doesn't negate the fact what Harry Reid did to Mitt Romney back in what was it, 2012, I want to say?
Yeah.
That election where Harry Reid was saying he was fabricating all sorts of lies about Mitt Romney not paying his taxes, and ultimately Mitt Romney lost that election, and someone called out Harry Reid about it, and Harry Reid rather boastfully said it worked, didn't it? So that's a side score I've been dying to settle.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw that in at the end. To shade a Trump taking that state. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Unless you got anything else, Mac.
Nope. That's about it.
All right.
Until the next one, that is.
Yeah, till the next one. Well, we do have more stuff we had to condense for this segment. So you'll for sure hear more here in a few days. Okay. So that's all we got. Thanks everyone. We'll catch you in the next one. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.